Just how good is the 2026 Dynasty rookie class? We're talking about that in today's video. As always, guys, give us a like and subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and join our Discord. Link is in the description. It is free. And join us live. We go live throughout the week answering start, sit, fantasy football questions. 2026 class, we're 4 weeks into the fantasy regular season, the NFL season. For fantasy, that is 25-30% of the regular season done if you play until week 14. So for some of us, we need to kind of decide, am I rebuilding? Am I trying to compete? Do I invest in the 26 class? So we're giving kind of a quarterly update on the college season and the potential dynasty rookie class. Of course, we don't know if all these guys are going to come out, but some of them may. My QB1 here is Lenoris Sellers at the moment. Lenoris Sellers, you see the numbers there. He's played in 5 games. Not really eye-popping numbers. He has 5 total touchdowns. He's averaging less than 200 yards passing, less than 20 yards rushing per game. So what's so special about him? I just see the potential with Lenoris Sellers. Now, he may just go back to school. This is only his second season as a starter at the college level. Last year was his first. He's technically a sophomore, so he could still go back to college and easily, refine his skills. I guess it's going to depend on what people are telling him and where he's going to go. But if he does come out, I think I like him as the QB1 in this draft class for fantasy football because I do think he has first-round potential in the NFL draft, and he can run the ball. And running the ball is so valuable in fantasy football. He rushed for over about 675 yards last year, so isn't quite on that pace this year. But, the season's still relatively young. I mean, we're about almost halfway through the college regular season. So we're getting there, but I'd like to see what Lenoris Sellers looks like over the next couple of months. But I'm still kind of high on him. And I think he's a potential first round talent if he decides to come out and continues to kind of progress and develop as a quarterback. At my QB2 position, Fernando Mendoza. And Fernando Mendoza may be the top quarterback in this draft class, not thinking about in terms of fantasy football, Fernando Mendoza. Although, he has some rushing potential to him as well. He is just lighting it up right now at Indiana. You see the stats there in 5 games. The guy's over 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns, 18 total touchdowns if you include his 2 rushing touchdowns in 5 games. So he's averaging over 3 touchdowns a game, which is insane. Indiana is 5-0, so his team is just lighting it up. I mean, they have 3 games already of over 50 points, 2 games of over 60 points, and they hit 73 points against Indiana State. Obviously, not really fair competition, but Fernando Mendoza kind of has all the tools that you need. He's big, he's tall, he's 6'5", 225. That's what scouts like to see. So for real quarterback, to me, if there's anyone that's going to go, QB or number 1 overall or in the top 10, my pick right now is Fernando Mendoza. I don't think this is actually a particularly deep quarterback class. I think there's a few potential first round picks, but to me, there's no locks as like this quarterback is the best player in the draft. Fernando Mendoza right now, to me, is the closest to that. Played a couple seasons at Cal, transferred to Indiana this year, and he's just absolutely lighting it up. Continue to watch and keep an eye on Fernando Mendoza. My QB3 here is Dante Moore, another guy that I do think can go into the first round. I feel fairly confident that he could. The next Oregon quarterback in line, right? We had Bo Nix, we had Justin Herbert, we had Bo Nix, we had Dylan Gabriel this last year, and now we have Dante Moore, who transferred from UCLA a couple years ago, was the backup to Dylan Gabriel last year, and now it's his turn as his 3rd year in college. First year, really, I mean, he started quite a bit of games at UCLA as a freshman, but his first year, starting with Oregon, and he's also putting up really, really good numbers there. You see 14 total touchdowns in 5 games. So he's averaging almost 3 touchdowns a game. Obviously, Oregon, generally, they put up kind of video game numbers for the most part. And that's kind of been the case this year, 30 or more points in all games for Oregon. But I like Dante Moore. I think he has a lot of potential here, again, to continue to develop. A lot of these guys, though, that's what makes this rookie class really hard. The first 3 guys I just introduced to you, all of them could easily go back to college. All of them are technically in their 3rd year of college. Mendoza is a junior. But the other two, Dante Moore and Lenore Sellers, are technically still sophomores. And so they could all easily just head back to college, and that really weakens this quarterback draft class. But Dante Moore, I do think he has first round potential in the NFL draft. Still need to see more development from him. Still very, still a lot to determine over the next couple of months. And is he going to increase his draft stock or not? John Mateer, and if I'm mispronouncing these guys, I'm really sorry. I have only been really watching like all 22 film on these guys. I haven't been watching broadcasts, so sometimes I forget their names and stuff like that. But John Mateer, I believe it is, played 3 seasons at Washington State, transferred to Oklahoma. He, I think, is a very, very good chance he's going to come out this year. He's in his junior year, his 4th year at school. Really his 2nd year as a starter. Played well at Washington State last year, threw for 3,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, and led their conference. I think they're actually independent, but he had a good year last year. Transfers to Oklahoma, and starting off okay. He's only played in 4 games, so still a lot to determine here, but he can also move. A lot of quarterbacks coming out these days can run, can move. You see the 11 total touchdowns here, 190 yards on the ground. So he's averaging, he's averaging about 50 yards, just under 50 yards rushing per game, which is great to see. He rushed for over 800 yards at Washington State. So another dual threat kind of guy here. So he's playing well at Oklahoma. So we'll see what he decides to do if he decides to come out. I think he's, as of right now, kind of a fringe first round pick. Maybe that early day 2 pick that some people take a chance on, but that obviously can change as we continue throughout the season. Oklahoma's going to be playing in big games. That's going to help his draft stock. They're 4-0 right now. It's good to see that we have some quarterbacks, and there's one more here that I do want to talk about. Garrett Nussmeier, which for a lot of people I think was kind of like the QB1, or he was like a top 3 quarterback before the college football season. I don't think he's necessarily done a whole lot to hurt himself. I think it's more there's been other guys that have kind of risen up the board a little bit, like Mendoza, like Moore, like Mateer. And so I think it's more of a result of that. Nussmeier, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on him. I'm not super high on Garrett Nussmeier at all. I do think that, I think he has some traits that NFL teams are going to like, but I just don't know. Is that going to mean like they kind of see him more as a backup with not a lot of ceiling, or as someone's future quarterback? As of right now, my guess would be he's a day 2 or day 2 or early day 3 pick in the NFL draft, just from what I've seen. Again, not a professional scout, only looked at a couple of games for these guys, but as of right now, that's kind of how I feel about Garrett Nussmeier. Overall for this quarterback class, like what I would say, I would caution people that are kind of banking on 26 class to provide them the quarterback that they need for the future. I wouldn't bank on it. I think there are going to be quarterbacks there, but there's also a good chance that a lot of these guys that I just talked about go back to school. No one's a lock. I know a lot of people are going to talk about where's Arch Manning and stuff like that. Still very raw in my opinion. And I don't think he's coming out. There's a couple other guys, Ty Simpson, Alabama, Drew Allard from Penn State, but not the best quarterback class, but also has the potential to be good. Into the running back class, to me, there's one guy who is first round potential in the NFL draft, and that's Jeremiah Love. This could be a situation where Jeremiah Love is the 101 even in Superflex leagues, because every now and then, like this last year, Ashton Genty, a couple years ago with Bijan Robinson, we get a class where like we don't love the quarterbacks. We like them. We don't love them. That could be the case this year. Jeremiah Love could be the 101. I think he's really, really good for Notre Dame. We see the numbers there for Notre Dame and Jeremiah Love, over 300, almost 350 yards on the ground. Already has 8 touchdowns, 13 catches as well for a Notre Dame offense. That's pretty good. That means they want to get him the ball. By the way, in 4 games, all these numbers here. I forgot to put the games there. So I believe he's, 4th on the team in receiving yards and tied for second in catches. Like, he's a big part of their passing offense. I think he's just really good. He was really good last year, 19 total touchdowns, 350 yards. He has the size, 6 foot, 215. So Jeremiah Love, if he comes out again, I think he will. He's in his third year as a junior. I think easily could be the 101 in this draft class and could in this dynasty rookie class and could be a first round pick in the NFL draft. That's really all I think right as of right now where we stand is going to be. To me, it's like a very good chance at being a first round pick. Everyone else, I think, is probably going to be round 2, round 3. Jonah Coleman for Washington is second on my board. Big, thick running back, 5'9", around 230. So he's a big boy, which you love to see. I love to see these running backs a little bit more, not old school, but just like these big, thick running backs. Played 2 years at Arizona, has played the last 2 years, including this year at Washington. His last 2 seasons as a sophomore and junior, really good. Over 1,100 total yards as a sophomore. Last year, over 1,200 total yards, 10 touchdowns. Already has 10 touchdowns this year, which is pretty crazy. 10 touchdowns in 4 games, guys. So the guy's averaging over 2 touchdowns a game. He's involved in the passing game, has 11 catches in just 4 games. You see the total yards there. He's already put up, close to 600 total yards in 4 games. So he is kind of Washington's offense. We saw him go up against Ohio State, like a legit team. He didn't have a huge game, but he had a really good, efficient game. 13 for 70 on the ground, 3 for 26 through the air. Washington, I think Washington was, kind of manhandled a little bit by Ohio State. It wasn't a blowout or anything, but it's 24-6, and Ohio State was really not really threatened, in my opinion. So Jonah Coleman's my RB2 as of right now. I think he's probably a second-round pick where we stand. Nicholas Singleton, a lot of people fell in love with him, and he had a chance to come out last year. A lot of people fell in love with him during the playoffs for the college football playoffs last year. And he had an incredible year last year, almost 1,500 total yards and 17 touchdowns. He's been incredibly productive for 3 straight years. As a freshman, over almost 1,150 total yards, 13 touchdowns. Follow that up with a good sophomore season, an even better junior year, and now his senior year kind of started off, I'd say, a little bit slow. He's played in 4 games, and he has under 300 total yards. He does have 5 total touchdowns already, which is good to see. A little bit slower than I think we would expect from him. His yards per attempt has gone down a little bit. He is sharing the backfield a bit as well with Kaytron Allen. So it's impressive that he put up that kind of numbers with Kaytron Allen. Kaytron Allen's actually having kind of a better year, but I do think Nicholas Singleton is a better prospect for the NFL and a better fantasy prospect as of right now. That could change as the season progresses, but my RB3 right now is Nicholas Singleton. Again, most likely a day 2 guy, and a guy we do know is going to come out next year. Next up, we have Justice Haynes for Michigan, another Michigan running back. He is, I believe, leading the nation, either leading the nation or leading his conference, the Big Ten, in rushing. He has over 537, or he has exactly 537 rushing yards, 9 catches, which for a Michigan running back, guys, is pretty impressive. Just to put that in perspective, their leading reception leader is 13, so 9 is good for third on the team. So he's part of their passing game, that outlet guy. He is fun. Justice Haynes is a lot of fun. He played a couple years at Alabama, was behind, all the great Alabama running backs that they have, transfers to Michigan. And yeah, he has over 550 total yards, 6 touchdowns in just 4 games. So this guy is just, he's going off right now. He's averaging, over 125 rushing yards per game. The next Michigan running back, potentially, although we haven't had a great Michigan running back. I mean, Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins. There's been some names we know, but maybe no one really going off as of late. And then my RB5, this is kind of where you get a big shit. Like, I think a lot of people have, obviously Jeremiah Love, Jonah Coleman, Nicholas Singleton, Haynes is up there for a lot of people. Kaytron Allen's up there for a lot of people. CJ Baxter's up there for a lot of people, but I went with someone a little bit different for my RB5. But I have Demond Claiborne as my RB5 out of Wake Forest, a senior, 4 straight years at Wake Forest, highly productive last year, over 1,300 total yards and 13 touchdowns. And he started that off kind of with a bang this year in 4 games, over 400 total scrimmage yards. So he's averaging over 100 scrimmage yards a game, 6 touchdowns. He kind of is a big part of this offense for Wake Forest. And so you love to see it. I really liked him on Claiborne. I like his ability to catch the ball. I like his ability, obviously, to run the ball. He's a little bit of a smaller back. He's one of the kind of the newer age running backs where, he's under 200 pounds as of now, as far as we know. We don't get official stuff until combine and stuff like that. But, he's a big part of Wake Forest's offense. And, Demond Claiborne, I think, is going to be an interesting one to follow, maybe slight sleeper where we stand right now, if you play in any Devy leagues and stuff like that. Into the wide receivers, to me, we have 2 guys. Oh, so overall for the running back class, I think it's very strong with Jeremiah Love. I really like Jonah Coleman. After that, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. It's definitely not as deep as last year, but also 2 years ago, we didn't think this running back class was very deep, and we got some names out of it. So overall, I think it's an okay running back draft class where we stand on October 3rd, but I'd love to check back in on this in about a month and kind of see where we're at from there. Jordan Tyson is my wide receiver number 1. To me, there's 2 guys at the top. There's 2 guys at the top and a couple other guys that I think are interesting. It's a little bit like, a little bit like, I was trying to think of the right draft class, but last year, as in 2025, the rookies this year, we kind of had like the Travis Hunter, Tedoroa, and McMillan were like the 2 guys at top. And then you had a couple other guys which were clearly behind those 2, Emeka Ibuka, Matthew Golden, but still we really liked. Obviously, Emeka Ibuka has been awesome. I kind of look at this draft class a little bit like that, where we have these 2 guys, Jordan Tyson and the next guy, Mekhi Lemon. To me, Jordan Tyson is he's my wide receiver 1 in this draft class right now. You see the numbers there, 39 catches already, 483 yards, 7 touchdowns in 5 games. So he's leading the entire nation in receiving touchdowns. He has, leading the Big 12 in catches and yards, just a big part of this ASU offense, 6'2", 200 type of receiver. So he's just fun, man. He's really, really good. A fun player to watch. And, he's kind of built from last year. He's kind of adding on as of right now. I mean, he already kind of has like half the production of what he did last year in less than half the games. Last year, he gave you 1,100 total yards, 10 touchdowns. I mean, he's probably going to smash those numbers if he stays healthy for the most part. So love to see it. I mean, I have no problem if you want to say Mekhi Lemon is your number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. I think they're easily the 1 and 2 in this draft class as of right now. Mekhi Lemon, I mean, we saw him with a huge game, his last game against Illinois for USC. Huge game, 11 for 151 and 2 against a ranked opponent. USC has started off the season strong. They're 4-1. And Mekhi Lemon, who, speaking of a guy who's about to smash what he did last year, Mekhi Lemon leads the nation in receiving yards with 589. Last year, he had 52 catches for 764 yards. We see the development of him now. He's about to, a couple more games and he could be passing those numbers already. He's already passed his touchdown total. So Mekhi Lemon to me is easily, in the top 2. You can argue Tyson versus Lemon. I think a lot of people are going to be arguing it all season long. I think both these guys are potential top 10 picks, definitely first round picks. And I like them both. I think they're great. Different. Jordan Tyson 6'2", 200. Mekhi Lemon's 5'11", 190. He's a little bit more of the new age wide receiver, so to speak. But yeah, you love to see it. These 2 guys at top, and then we get kind of like the next group of guys that come in that could be very good themselves. Denzel Boston out of Washington. Washington has a good offense, as you can see. Denzel Boston out of Washington, I really, really like as well. A big, tall wide receiver, 6'4", 210. So a little bit more old school of like, that big, tall kind of wide receiver. Has spent 4 years at Washington. Last year was his best year by far. 63 catches, 834 yards. He's a kind of a big play type of guy, in my opinion. He has 19 catches, 275 yards, and 3 touchdowns in just 4 games. So, like I said, you kind of have the 2 guys at top, and these are probably going to be the consensus. There's a good chance these are like the consensus next couple of guys, but they could easily be very, very good, just like we're seeing Emeka Egbuka right now is the best wide receiver in this draft class, right? So you love to see it, and I think it's just I think this wide receiver draft class is going to be pretty good. I think these 5 guys that we're talking about, the first 4 guys that we're talking about, I think have a very, very good chance of being first-round picks in the NFL draft. Carnell Tate is up next, a little bit maybe. He kind of Carnell Tate reminds me a little bit of like, you had Marvin Harrison Jr. Get all the headlines and stuff like that for the Ohio State wide receiver room. Jeremiah Smith is kind of getting all the headlines, and Jeremiah Smith is amazing. Jeremiah Smith will be maybe the 101 in the dynasty rookie drafts in 2027. But Carnell Tate himself is a very good wide receiver. 3 years at Ohio State. We know the Ohio State receiving room is kind of insane. We had guys like Emeka Egbuka there last year. Jeremiah Smith. And Carnell Tate still had a good year last year, 52 for 733. Again, another kind of big play type of receiver. He's 6'3", 195. He can stretch the field. He's averaging 16.8 yards per reception. I think he's going to be the next Ohio State first-round pick wide receiver. I do. He's only played in 4 games, and he's putting up good numbers. And Ohio State, to me, like, they haven't really been tested a whole lot. I know they kind of had a close-ish game with Texas was the game where they were tested, a 14-7 game. But other than that, they've kind of handled their next 3 opponents, Grambling State, Ohio, and Washington. So it'll be good to see as the season progresses, like what we see from Carnell Tate and what he does during the potential college football playoffs that we expect Ohio State to be in. Bowl games and late in the season type of production. But if you remember Carnell Tate, and I'm trying to pull it up right now, Carnell Tate's, I think he had a big game during the college football playoffs for Ohio State last year. The Cotton Bowl against Texas, the semifinals, he had a good game, 7 for 87. But I'm excited to see Carnell Tate develop even more. And then my wide receiver 5, again, I think those top 4 guys you're getting a lot of consensus there. But Chris Bell, I'm going to highlight here out of Louisville. Chris Bell is a fun player who, has kind of come out of nowhere a little bit. I mean, he's been 40 years at Louisville. He had a productive year last year, 780 yards and 4 touchdowns. But again, he's another guy in 4 games. He's on pace to smash those numbers. He's already put up half the production, essentially, of what he did last year in just 4 games for Chris Bell. So I like what I see from him. He's 6'2", 220, so he's a little bit of a thicker wide receiver. I think you can give him some rush attempts, and I think he's a little bit versatile in that type of situation. So I don't know if he's a first-round pick as of right now. I don't really see anyone else besides those top 4 guys as of right now as first-round picks. There's other names to talk about. Eric Singleton Jr., Antonio Williams, and Jacoby Lane out of USC as well. But those are, to me, my top 5 and definitely my top 4. And we'll see kind of how that progresses as we look at again in about a month. We'll finish up here with just some tight ends here, just for the clear-cut tight end 1. And I think, this year's Brock Bowers, first-round pick tight end. Really, to me, the only tight end that has a chance to go in the first round is Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. 6'3", 250. So he's a little bit, he's not maybe as big as a traditional tight end, but I think the guy is a very talented pass catcher. 15 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns isn't mind-blowing or anything, but For a tight end, that's going to be very, very good numbers. I mean, he's probably on pace for like 45 and 700 and like 9 touchdowns. And for a tight end in college, that is very, very good. Already on pace to smash what he did last year. Obviously, last year he was playing behind guys like Terrence Ferguson and stuff like that. But to me, he's the next Oregon tight end. He's the clear cut, probably. There's a chance he goes top 10 in the NFL draft. I don't think he will, but I think he's a first round pick. So keep an eye out for Kenyon Sadiq, tight end premium leagues. Like he could easily be a first round pick in dynasty rookie drafts. Max Clare is next up here out of Ohio State. To me, now we're getting into I'm pretty sure the next couple of guys are pretty easily day 2 picks, second, third round picks, in my opinion. Max Clare, 6'5", 250, so a little bit more of that traditional tight end size, I would say. Again, just a solid player. Not having a great year, I'll say that. He's played in 4 games, only 6 catches, 74 yards and a touchdown. So would like to see him get involved a little bit more, a little bit concerned about that. I will say this about stats when it comes to tight ends. Stats and raw statistical numbers are the least predictive out of all positions for tight ends, right? Like you can, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, need to kind of put up stats. Tight ends, it's a lot more like the athleticism and the build and how you're going to use them and stuff like that. He was very good last year at Purdue. 51 catches, 685 yards and 4 touchdowns. Transferred to Ohio State and is just not really a part of their offense. So you will see his ranking go down, that's for sure. If they don't use him more, if he doesn't break out more, would like to see Ohio State to get him going and kind of have a third receiving option outside of Jeremiah Smith and Cardell Tate. Jack Endries, I believe is how you say it, the next Texas tight end. We went from like Jatavian Sanders, Gunnar Helm last year. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was a tight end even a couple of years ago. Not Adonai Mitchell. Yeah, Jatavian Sanders. But I thought there was someone before Jatavian Sanders that we were drafting, and now I'm drawing a blank on him. But Jack Endries here. Again, not a whole lot of production for him. Just 7 catches in 4 games, 100 yards. So, showing a little bit of his explosiveness. Another transfer, maybe that has something to do with it. Transferring teams. We'll see if they kind of get him going a little bit as well. To me, he also has a chance to go day 2. Probably a third round pick, in my opinion. It's going to just depend on how teams see him. A little bit more of like a smaller tight end. He's 6'4", 230, 235. So not quite, that blocking tight end, but I think he's a very good receiver. Played 2 seasons at Cal. Very productive as a freshman. 35 catches, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last year as a sophomore, 56 catches, 600 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So kind of starting off the season a little bit slow, but we'll see if they kind of get him going. And then Eli Stowers, I believe it is. Maybe it's Stowers. I remember talking about him last year and kind of in that deep tight end class about his potential to come out of Vanderbilt. I really like Stowers, Eli Stowers. He's been in college a long time. This is his 5th year in college since 2021. Played at Texas A&M for 2 years, did nothing. Went to New Mexico State, had a pretty, did something finally. And then last year at Vanderbilt, 50 catches, 638 yards, 5 touchdowns. Starting off the season pretty hot here. Five games, he has over 300 yards in 20 catches. So, I really like him. He's another kind of a tweener, 6'4", 235 type of tight end. So I think he does have day 2 potential, but really I think this tight end class is not very deep at all. I think the Kenyon Sadiq is like the clear cut, top guy. Overall, I don't think this class is that deep. It's not very deep. And a lot of it's going to depend on if these quarterbacks come out. If these quarterbacks come out, all you need is one position. Like last year we had the running backs that made the draft class deep. We need the quarterbacks to come out. If they all come out, the guys that I was talking about, plus some of the other guys like Drew Allar and stuff like that, then this quarterback class could be deep, which could just make the overall draft class deep. But do you invest in 2026? I'm not super excited about it, if I'm being honest. There's obviously going to be guys. There's always guys every year. So first round picks in any draft class are going to be good. but I would maybe look to invest a little bit more in 2027 on where we stand right now. So, anyways, I appreciate everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll be doing another one of these probably at the end of October, and we'll catch you guys all in the next video.